Hi, everybody. My name's Maldhound. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, touching cards, attempting to touch hearts, and most importantly, telling you if I'd touch your commander's parts. I'm here today to tell you how to live your life and play Commander, which I am qualified to do so because I've been told I'm only slightly uglier than Joey Schultz.
Hi, I'm Veggie Wagon. You can find me on the internet, where all internets are found. I'm the co-host of your favorite Commander gameplay show, Decked Out. And also, maybe you've seen some of my funny videos that are also on the internet, like song with words that are different but about magic, or here's a movie, but I did also put magic cards in it. That's it.
We're the Nitpicking Nerds. I'm BZ. And
I'm Mia, and I'm part of Nitpicking Nerds Part 2,
we
actually.
You can follow us on Instagram.
And Twitter, and, that's where we're biggest,
We're sponsored
actually.
by Card Kingdom.
Yes, we are.
Get
Best
your
sleeves in the
cards
multiverse.
on Good Sleeves. Get your cards there.
Code.
Card Kingdom's great. Code 5% to save nerds.
Nerds, yes. And also singles 50%.
Yes.
Yes, singles 50% or more.
Moxfield, you're a liar.
Later.
You're a liar.
Later. You lie a lot, and so do you.
Thank you. For my presentation, I thought I would help you guys directly. It's no secret that you suck at Magic, so we're gonna talk about why you suck at Magic, and most importantly, we're talking about how to get better. So the first reason, you're a coward. That's just clear. That's the first reason. We're gonna get into that. Reasons you're a coward. We're gonna start with mulligans. So you say things like, "I'll keep anything with 3 lands." 3 lands doesn't mean you're going to be able to play the game. I've seen plenty of 3-land stinkers. I've seen plenty of other hands that do things. What are your first 3 turns going to look like? Those are questions you're going to have to ask yourself. 1 land in Soul Ring, what could possibly go wrong? Everything. Everything could possibly go wrong. Cool kids play Nature's Claim, Pick Your Poison, generally just can interact with your stuff. Playing a Soul Ring, I don't think, I know you're right next to me, so it's easy to look and gesture to you. I don't think that you would say that a turn 1 Soul Ring is anything but vulnerable.
I actually play turn 2 Soul Ring because I've been Nature's Claimed 1 too many times.
Exactly, thank you. Please save questions till
that was not a question.
The end of the show. I don't want to hold up the table, you might be saying. It's us or you, quite frankly. Either you hold us up by mulliganing and finding a hand that is reasonable and you can play the game, or you sit out for 45 minutes, and everybody knows that sitting down for 45 minutes without playing, that's pretty lame, just in general. A mulligan should literally take 30 seconds. This is also something I'd like to talk about. I could have probably done my entire presentation on this, but it's like, and then you're good to go. You have somebody cut your deck. I don't know what's going on, but generally, I think mulligans take like 5 to 10 minutes that I see at the table, and people just can't get the game started. If you pile shuffle, I will find you. Aren't mulligans for cowards, you might be saying? No, they're responsible. Reasons you're a coward, missing free attacks. This is another big one. If you have a 2/2 in play on turn 3 and it's the only creature on the battlefield, then you better be swinging that creature into the red zone, or you're actively wasting my time. We start at 40, it's way too much. We should probably start at 30, maybe even 20.
10.
There's just so much time wasted in a game, and I don't understand what we're gaining by not attacking somebody for 2. I don't want to make enemies, you might be saying. Enemies, it's turn 4. Everyone's at 40. Like I said, anyone foolish enough to engage in a blood feud this early will run out of steam before the middle of the game. Commander games take 3 hours already because people are afraid to win the game. And we have a little case study. Mia was involved in this. This guy, I'll change names for this. He became the monarch and declared that anyone who attacked him would be targeted for the entire rest of the game, sort of like announcing a blood feud, saying he's going to be unreasonable. Someone took the monarchy, he vowed revenge, and then forgot about it 2 turns later because somebody else played a big flyer. I think that's generally what this looks like. That's how it's going to go. Reasons you're a coward. Field of the Dead. Do you really still think that this card is bad? Have you read it? I know it's a little small, but enters the battlefield tapped, creates a colorless mana, and whenever a land enters, if you have 7 lands with different names, which is very likely, you get to make a 2/2 black zombie token for free. It enters tapped, you might say. The zombies you make for free don't. That's already undoing the value of that. This is Commander, not CDH. You could probably afford a tap land, and I think if you only have room for 1 tap land, this should probably be the one. I'm not a landfall deck, you might be saying. But I bet you're a deck that at some point will want free blockers, attackers, sacrifice fodder, permanents entering the battlefield, permanents leaving the battlefield. I'm only playing 1 color. These are tired excuses that we can put behind us. You're a white deck? Check this out. Yeah. And there's more that I haven't mentioned. The next reason that you suck at Magic. You don't read your cards. This is a pretty simple one, I thought. But why don't you read your cards? Honestly, how am I supposed to know? That's a question you need to ask yourself and answer for yourself. Knowing what your deck does before you play the game prevents agonizing 5-minute turns. Nothing is less charming than having an infinite loop on board for 3 turns before realizing it. You know, I do have Mia right next to me. You did do this a little bit before. You had an oopsies. You said, I can't go infinite. Then played 1 card and was able to go infinite. I'm not saying anything else about it.
And
Take
then
a
you
minute to reread every commander. While players are taking too long to mulligan. Like I said, that takes too long. You can just yoink a commander, read it real quick, everything's good. Asking players to read cards is okay. However, don't read your cards to me unless I ask specifically. This has nothing to do with my presentation. It's annoying and takes up too much time. Case study, Sphinx of the Second Sun for not reading your cards. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. That is the exact text box of Sphinx, other than it has flying. But I've got people attacking me in the comments trying to tell me they get to cast sorceries afterwards, that they get an extra combat afterwards, that it's basically Time Walk. And this was made in a video specifically where we said, Sphinx of the Second Sun. What a confusing card. You know, this has tripped up a lot of people. Here's what it does. And we explained in detail what it did. And in the comments of that video, people were telling me I was wrong. I'm sorry, but I have to direct you to this PowerPoint. Please read your cards. The next thing here, this is cards memorized by set. This is how we go to see how few people are memorizing their cards. Back in core set, people memorize about 300 cards. Dominaria, we're sitting at around 250. Throne of Eldraine, this is where you see the fire design. Steep drop off. We're at like 75. And then Modern Horizons 2, only 5. This is not counting basic lands. So only 5 non-basic land cards were remembered out of Modern Horizons 2. Very unfortunate that as set complexity increases, the memorization decreases. It's sad to see. The next point here, you don't pay attention. You just don't. Things you're never allowed to do again in a Commander game with me. Please write this down if you're going to go to an event with me. Pick up your phone, start texting during the game. Pull out an entire meal and consume it during a game. Spend more than 30 seconds digging through your bag, searching for tokens. We got infinite tokens. It's fine. And when you say, no, trust me, I got it, I'm going to send you to this PowerPoint. Talk to your tableside friend while people are trying to take game actions. When Chandra Nalar labeled Commander a social format, I'm pretty sure she was talking about the players and not your friend Greg. Leave him out of this. Reasons Commander players get punched in the face. This is related to my previous slide. I just have a little graph here. We can sort of dissect it. We see spilling Cheetos dust onto the board. That's 35%. Breaking political deals. It's about 28%. Answering the phone during your turn and saying, no, I can talk. That's like 20%. That's about 1/5. Then we have offering a correction while being wrong. Another classic, especially from people not playing the game. They go in and they say, isn't that indestructible? And you say, no. And then they just kind of look foolish and walk away. And then finally, of course, saying, I want you to punch me in the face. That'll usually do it, right? We got about 3% of that. Next here, you make excuses for bad cards. And you knew this was coming. What bad cards are you making excuses for? I have done a series called Overhyped Commander Cards where I simply say, hey, I think this card, it's a little bit overhyped to how good I think it actually is. We can run through this. Everybody Lives, Misleading Signpost, Saw in Half, Reaver Cleaver, Tameo Safekeeping, Boros Charm, just some of the many hits, the greatest hits from that one. What ties all these cards together, you might ask? They're nonsense. They're just not even real. They're not even close to what I would consider when looking at what makes a card good. 2 of them require 10 minutes of setup. Of course, Saw in Half and the Reaver Cleaver. Saw in Half is not a removal spell despite looking like one. It's basically just a weird ephemerate. And the Reaver Cleaver, if you equip a 5/5, you spend 6 mana, then you hit somebody for 6, the full hit, the full thing goes through, they don't have any interaction, you get your mana back. Then you got to wait till the next turn to get actual value out of it. And the other 4 are hyper-specific gotchas, which players really seem to enjoy. We as Commander players can do better, but I do have a graph, regarding these gotcha spells. We can just take a quick look at games won by stuffing your deck full of gotcha cards. We have Everybody Lives, Misleading Signpost, Tameo Safekeeping, 0. Boros Charm actually did have 1. There was the one time, somebody ended at 4, and you shot them for 4. But other than that, these gotcha cards are not going to get you anywhere. In conclusion, stop. Stop being a coward. Stop not reading your cards. Stop not paying attention. And stop making excuses for bad cards. Maybe someday you will be good. Are there any questions? Yes.
Why'd you put so much text on here? PowerPoint's supposed to be visual.
This is how I used to make PowerPoints.
Oof.
Yeah, I got good grades in like 4th grade. That's how I used to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
I have a legitimate question.
What's the question?
You spoke about not consuming food at the table. What if I can produce a certificate confirming that I am the glizzy goat? And I can down a grande burrito in 7 seconds.
Is that a medical excuse?
Yes.
You have a follow-up question for someone
I
who
have
watched my
I have a
PowerPoint
therapeutic
question.
use exemption for eating grande burritos.
Yeah, I mean,
I think if you can produce a medical exception, I think that's okay. But if you also
Would you
just said a
accept
hot dog,
would you accept grainy iPhone video of me at a hot dog eating competition?
I think I would, because if I could see you just taking a hot dog and just like it wasn't even there, I would be like, you know what? You basically didn't even eat food during the presentation.
Okay, we're cool then.
I have a question.
Yes, veggie.
As both myself, a coward and a YouTube commenter, I know that if I reply to a content creator's video and say that they're wrong, that makes them slightly more wrong. So how many comments do I need to make until you are wrong on your video?
That's the thing. It's the ebb and flow. You know, I think the more comments you make on a YouTuber's videos, the more wrong they appear. The beauty is they can't respond to you because then they're punching down. And so once they, you know, if you get the critical mass of responses, you go, wow, Veggie sure is a jerk to his commenters. And then it's like, you know, you're playing a whole different game. You just move that goalpost and everything's good. So don't do that, I guess, people watching. I just gave them the key to success.
Okay. So I didn't make a lot of PowerPoints when I was in school because I would just instead submit literal videos of me singing song parodies about the subject. And the teacher would be like, I don't know what's going on with you, but sure, here's an A. So this is like probably my third PowerPoint ever. Magic and exploration into game theory, competitive psychology, and social stigma in a post-quarantine era. Or I couldn't concentrate on one PowerPoint to do. New evidence. Did Jesus of Nazareth play Magic? No. Magic the Gathering, as we know, was first released in August of 1993. And Jesus was born between 4 and 6 BC and died well before August of 1993 AD. However, Magic did preview at the Origins Game Fair in July of 1993, so if Jesus was at Origins, then he may have played. Should Veggie and Mauled start a bizarre YouTube channel called the Nut Plucking Nards? Yes, but I get to be Beezy and Mauled is Mia. Okay, all blue spells ranked, and number 8 is a banger. So, number 4,141, Undertow. This one's pretty bad. Number 4,140, Zephyr Spirit. This is a blue spell, but it is not good. All right, so number 4,139 is Pale Moon. Wow, not a good card. So that is why it made it in at number 4,139. Okay, yeah, you get the idea, you know. So here's cards you should not say in a weird way. Foot Bottom Feast. Cold Case Cracker. And Mud Button Clanger. So what if they banned Soul Ring tomorrow? What would be the implications on the format? You would still suck at Magic. So how much will Maldhound enjoy Bloomborough? This is a very important hot topic, and the answer is too much, as evidenced by this photo here. And I think that that's very suspicious. So understanding the stack, sex positivity in Magic. I think this is a very, very underrepresented topic. So the stack each participant has an opportunity to respond to the other players, the other people involved, which you take turns. You ask, okay, I would like to do this thing. Are you okay with that? And then a person says, well, yes, you know what, I'm going to respond. I'm going to do this before you decide to do that thing. And in between each thing that a person wants to do, everyone else gets a chance to interact. And I think that's very, very relatable. There's also the rule of first in, last out. That I think pretty self-explanatory. As far as sexual intercourse goes. Also, morph does not use the stack. I've actually never been touched before, so I don't know if you all know what that's like. I actually was really hoping for some input on this. So if you have any, just like some stories or tips or anything like that for me after the presentation, that is really appreciate it. And finally, secret layers that I think would sell. That's kind of exciting, exploring the universes beyond. So I think secret layers, things I think would sell, would be a killer. I think just by definition, they would have to sell. Also, secret layer, super Asian-y stuff, but like in a tasteful way. We've seen so far that can be very very successful. I've heard that the Nitpicking Nerds actually headed in this direction, and it worked out well for them. Secret layer.
Please continue.
We're all ears.
I knew I muted myself for a reason.
I should not have looked at the cameras. Secret layer nut plucking nards, secret layer chicken squiggles, and secret layer feet. All right, so that concludes today's PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Are there any questions?
Can I get that photo of Mauled and you onto can you print it out and send it to my house? I need to frame it.
I have a more question.
I'll mail it.
Thank you.
If you were going to Photoshop me, could you have not fixed my hairline? What the hell?
I actively made it work.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Guess who saw this guy?
I just took the thing and I stretched it.
I do have a question.
Reggie, I know you love my head, but keep it tight.
Yeah, in the first 15 to 20 seconds, you mentioned Jesus of Nazareth potentially playing Magic. What would you say to someone who holds more of the mythicist position of, maybe Jesus didn't exist at all in a sense, but was more of an amalgamation of some itinerant rabbis?
I think up to this point, there's been reasonable evidence that at least that narrows it down to only a handful of real people, of people that actually existed during the time period. And I think if the majority of those people did play Magic, if we say that we've narrowed it down to 4 or 5 individuals, if 3 of them were at Origins, then I think we can say that Jesus did in fact play Magic the Gathering.
That seems strong to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
quite convincing.
Good evidence as I've ever seen.
Moxfield, they're pretty cool.
They are so cool.
It's okay because I'm a pile shuffler, so that even
Field
Here, you could clip that. Whoever the editor is for this one, clip that.
I used to not. I've only recently started pile shuffling, and I'm like, oh, this is so much better.
I want to do my presentation on something that I feel passionate about, but now that I know that Malltown is actually a pile shuffler, I guess this one is just directed at you. Stop pile shuffling. A guide to be a less annoying and actually fair player. Pile shuffling, let's define it because every academic presentation needs a definition to start. A feeble attempt to randomize a deck by making piles on the table and then putting them together to consider them shuffled. oftentimes take a long period of time and holds up people from starting the game, especially if this player needs multiple mulligans. If you're going to mull down to 3 and you're like, don't worry, I got it, 1, 2, 3, you're wasting time. For the people who don't know, I included a picture of it so you know that if you're doing it, you're wrong. Well, now let's continue. Pile shuffling's good for one thing, counting your cards. This is literally in the rules. You can do it. And you can count your cards, and that's good. It's not here to actually shuffle. This is a riffle shuffle and not pile shuffling, but that doesn't matter because it's all the same. This doesn't randomize it. But if you want to truly be a nitpicking nerd, once Jace Bellerin said, 310 card shuffling in the Magic the Gathering rules. Pile shuffling may not be performed other than once each at the beginning of the game to count the cards in the deck. He said so. Quote him next time. Stop pile shuffling. But I know what you might be saying. Those are official rules. They don't matter. It's casual. Those are tournament rules. We're not playing a tournament. Magic's literally a game based on rules. We have a whole comprehensive
Field of the
rule book to play the game. You think you're not going to follow this one? And it's not like, oh, well, I can just mulligan. You know, a full mulligan is 7 cards at least on the bottom or in the middle. That's an official cut. One, putting it on the bottom, that's like, okay, whatever, maybe. But you know, mana weaving's against the rules too, so why aren't we doing that? That's against the rules. Why doesn't everyone do that? Because that's cheating, just like pile shuffling. It's easy to cheat with pile shuffling. Say this is your god hand. You can just stack your deck before and go, okay, well, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, and then just get your piles correctly and then just mash them all together. Then you can just win turn 1 and everything's okay, right? Because, like, that's a fair game of Magic. You're so good at the game. Good for you. Mash shuffling isn't random enough. Ooh, boy. You're dumb. Why isn't this showing? What? Okay, I guess the GIF isn't showing here, but this is somebody who's mash shuffling, and this makes it low-key better. Even mathematically, you're wrong. This is a riff shuffle, and this was a mash shuffle, but unfortunately, we can't show you. Diaconus wrote, he's a mathematician, a magician, and an all-around math nerd. He wrote, 7 riffle shuffles are necessary and suffice to randomize 52 cards. And people have often said that 7 mash shuffles are enough to randomize 98 and 99 cards. For a deck of 98 cards, there are 98 factorial, or 9.42 times 10 to the 153 combinations of cards. And for 99, that's even more. That's so many combinations. And so I'm just going to start the PowerPoint again because this seems about right. There are more possible card combinations in a commander deck than grains of sand on the earth plus observable stars in the sky. That's a lot. So if you think that mash shuffling isn't enough, you're just like wrong even mathematically. It's hard to hold a commander deck. My hands are too small. Laying it out on the table's easier. Might be some of your excuses for pile shuffling. Well, you're wrong, also. You have no excuse. I have baby hands, and you can see a commander deck takes up an entire hand, and you can see me also struggling to pick up in this GIF, and I still do not pile shuffle, so you have no excuse. My hands, I'm pretty sure, stopped growing when I was 12, and so there you go. You probably have bigger hands than me. I would like the game to begin before the 10-minute mark. This is a threat. If it does not start within 10 minutes because you're pile shuffling and mulliganing, I will live in your walls. This is a threat. It'll be kind of like that, actually. And so, to conclude this, you're bad if you pile shuffle. I'd like you to stop. Thank you. I will take questions.
I have less of a question, more of a confession. I did not know what pile shuffling was. I do the one where you take 2 halves and you just over and over.
Mash shuffling?
Well, it's like it's 2 piles in my head. It was like, yeah.
Yeah. Pile shuffling's when you're like piles. 1, 2.
Oh no,
Field of
that. Sorry,
that's why I defined it in the beginning.
Those people are going to hell, man. Those people are going straight to hell.
Absolutely the worst. I don't know.
I was watching the video. I was like, that's not what I do at all.
I don't think I have questions. I just feel for you. I mean, I wrote if you pile shuffle, I'll find you. But I think living in the walls is just even better. How do you find the time?
Oh, I mean, just there's so many hours in the day. You can find it to find anyone who pile shuffles. I guess I have to go to mall towns now, but like I also have to cross off the list because you admit to not doing it.
But I don't.
I didn't expect so many like surprise pictures of people's faces to appear over like things
One
today, and
yeah, it's just in
I'm
general.
pretty happy about it.
Commander is a multiplayer game, which means that one of the most important parts of it is politics. And what is the most important part of politics? Killing people who have too much power. And who has too much power in Commander? It is the ramp deck. So let's talk about them. What is ramp? It is getting too many lands too quickly and shuffling too many times. Why is this a problem? To understand this, we have to understand what is Commander. Commander is ranked competitive counting. Specifically counting to 8. Once you get there, everybody dies. I do have evidence for this. Every card with mana value 8 or above either kills you with what is on the table, kills you with what used to be on the table, or kills you with what will be on the table, and only one of these is fair. So, armed with this newfound knowledge, we can return to the question of what is ramp. It is a tool of Beelzebub. It is the methodology by which the green players and the artifact players use bullfieldery to advance to high mana value spells while everyone else is left playing fair magic down there underneath the ramp. This is a well-loved strategy, in part because it is very good. What it's best at is putting holes inside of people that do not currently have holes in them. They purport that they have weaknesses which make them balanced. Something that would make ramp balanced is having property taxes, but these do not exist in Magic the Gathering. They also say that it leaves them open during the turns that they are ramping. Unfortunately, this is not true at all because of Rule 0. When you combine Rule 0 with the terror that exists in the hearts of men, you get 3 rounds of hacky sack at every commander table before anybody does anything cool. Thanks to Rule 0, everybody will agree not to try to win while the ramping player is ramping, and they will agree not to try to kill the ramping player while they're ramping because they haven't done anything cool yet. So who wins in all this? The land barons, the people that have spent 3 to 4 turns assembling an unassailable resource advantage in the form of their lands. They will tell you, oh, I'm playing a slow game plan. Just bring answers, except you can't because of Rule 0. If you bring counterspells for their expensive spells, that's no fun. You're not letting them play the game. If you bring land destruction, suddenly that is disrespectful to everybody's time, which is a sentiment eerily similar to 19th century British colonialists who spent their entire history, much like the green players, taking way more lands than they deserved. What do we do about this? We have to get rid of the ramp and potentially the trees, but not all of the ramp. We only need to get rid of the ramp that takes advantage of this hacky sack zone. When they make me God Emperor, the things we will outlaw first is Soul Ring. This has only caused problems. It has never made any games interesting and only serves to paint a target on both your back and genitalia. We are also getting rid of Nature's Lore. Why does this land need to come in untapped? Presumably to cast additional ramp like Crop Rotation. This one isn't even mana positive, but I've never seen it grab anything cool, so get rid of it too. Now, like I said, there are going to be some mana rocks that are allowed to exist in this new paradise, such as Firemind Vessel and Relic of Sauron. These are cool and based because they cost 4 mana. This means you have to take off a turn that actually matters instead of one of the hacky sack turns, and they fix mana, allowing you to engage in a number of creative game plans. Relic of Sauron also has a utility feature, making it even more interesting than Nature's Lore. Now, some of you may notice, Mauled, aren't you setting up a dichotomy where the colors that don't want to ramp early, like Grixis, get a benefit over the colors that do want to ramp early, like Selesnya and Colorless? Yes, I am, but they deserve it. Let's talk about why. In the latest set, Tristani, a member of the Selesnyan Guild, killed Teysa Karlov, the leader of the Orsok Guild. We know this. A few sets before that, Karn, who is notably colorless and also bald, killed Elish Nord. Now, she did kind of have it coming because they were trying to Norn all over the universe, but most importantly, these are both MILFs. Teysa Karlov, she could have called you a good boy so many times in her life. The green players took that from you. Elish Norn, she could have crushed your head with those thighs, then brought you back with a titanium skull. The colorless players took her from you. What has Nib Mizzet taken from you? When combined with curiosity, only your sanity. Notably, your sanity, not a MILF. If we look at the leader of Grixis, Sauron, we're not counting anything he did as ruler of his empire. Canonically, he's only killed 33 smelly dudes who were literally trying to take his ring and potentially his chain. None of these were MILFs. So from there, we can move to the established ultimate arbiter of all discussions in MTG, the Dead MILF scoreboard. We have colors on one side, dead MILFs on the other. We have Selesnya at 1 dead MILF, Colorless at 1 dead MILF, and Grixis at 0 dead MILFs. I rest my case.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
You were talking about ramp. Wouldn't you consider Manadork's ramp?
That's a perfect segue into my next presentation, a history of the Dirty Knife Ears.